live, laugh.
How's it going, everybody? This is Daniel, and I am joined today. The picture is wrong. I got confused because I looked at you and it said my name. And I was like,
it's okay. I'll be okay.
Yeah.
You can be Selena.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun interview then. And I'm joined by Selena Rose. Super excited to have you on. Before we get started, though, where can everybody find you on your socials? And do you have anything coming up?
All of my socials are at Selena Rose Pro, and I'll be at Pro Wrestling Turbo, Palmetto Championship Wrestling. But yeah, we got a lot of fun stuff planned coming up.
Awesome. And I want to start off with the hard-hitting questions that people have grown to appreciate as this podcast, and it's one that your training partner actually kind of suggested. But I've seen you get a lot of flack for your driving. It's funny enough that you're sitting in your car, so I want to give you the opportunity to clear the air, put out a statement, and let everybody know how good of a driver you actually are.
I'm a great driver. Okay, like Ricky Bobby Talladega Nights is my inspiration. If you're not first, you're like. I do drive a little fast, but I've never gotten a ticket for it, so no one can prove that.
Yeah, if you don't get a ticket, you're winning. That's what I always like to say too. And maybe it's just Drew Hood. Maybe he's just can't handle the speed.
No, I mean Drew drives fine, but he doesn't drive fast, and it takes forever to get anywhere.
Oh, you hear it first. Drew is inefficient with his driving, and that's the bottom line. It's on record. It's not on social media. It's in video recorded form. So as far as I'm concerned, that is the truth of the matter.
He just needs to drive a little faster, and things will be fine.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to talk to him about that. Maybe he'll have an intervention. My dad drives he got to a certain age where he's just like, I'm not going to go over 65 miles an hour. He claims it's for gas mileage, but it takes him an extra hour just to get anywhere. So I'm all for encouraging people to go faster.
85-90 is such a safe speed.
Yeah. That's maybe too fast for me, just for a paranoia and anxiety standpoint. I feel that's where I would be the cops.
That's fair. I get it.
But if you're a passenger, what do you have to lose? That's perfect speed for me as a passenger. Awesome.
You just have, I always have my little speed, so it always tells me when cops are coming up, so I can slow down, and it's lifesaver.
Yeah. What did our grandparents do? They also didn't have seatbelts, so it was really driving was just not a fun back then.
That part.
But yeah, this is a wrestling podcast. You are a wrestler, so I guess we should at some point probably start talking about wrestling. Although I do have one more thing to bring up. Apparently, the Legend of Solar, Chris Solar, wanted me to let you know that Twilight is a bad movie.
And he's wrong.
Okay.
He's wrong. Twilight is the best movie series. We watch it at least once a week.
Really?
It's my comfort movie. If I'm having a bad day, I come home and turn on Twilight. It's
which one? Do you have or is it just picking up where you left off last?
It depends on the day. Most of the time I'll start it over because I love the opening sequence. The tiny cactus, I want one of those so bad.
Okay. I have nothing against Twilight. Me and my wife recently had a weekend where we binged it, but I don't know if I could do it every week. Is it every day, or is it once a week? I feel like we should unpack this a little bit more.
It's once a week. If I have a stressful day at work or school, and just have a bad day in general, it's my go-to happy movie. This will put me in a great mood. It'll fix everything.
Okay. Are you a fan of the books or just the movies?
Yes. So, Dad actually just got me a custom covered set of the Twilight books for Christmas. They're on display in my room. I just finished reading New Moon again. The books are so much better than the movies, but the movies are great too.
Yes. Are you a team Jacob or a team Edward?
Oh, team Edward all the way.
Okay.
Since I was a kid.
Yeah. Am I the only one that thinks it's a little weird that like Jacob just kind of imprinted on that baby?
Oh yeah, no, that was so weird. I
Yeah.
don't know why Stephanie Meyer thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
Um, but she did. She was like, this will sell
Yeah.
books. This will make movies.
Yeah. This is this is one of those weird internet things. But so it's all gonna make sense, but I'm gonna start off with 9/11, which I know it sounds awful, but apparently do you know My Chemical Romance? The
Yes.
band. So they were inspired by singing by the lead singer saw 9/11 happen. He's like, I'm gonna form a band because of that. Stephanie Myers wrote Twilight because of My Chemical Romance. So there's a
Yes.
line that can be drawn between
Characters
9/11.
are based off.
Yeah. So you could say, and I don't know if you want to, but if 9/11 never happened, we would never have Twilight. Is it still your favorite movie?
Ugh. I
It's
don't.
okay if
I don't. That. That is a wee bit rough.
okay. Okay. Well, it's a thin line. I never said it was a very straight one.
Endgame
Um,
also my favorite. So we can just replace favorite movie with Endgame. Endgame's great.
okay. Yeah. Endgame, I don't think has any weird tiebacks to a national tragedy. I'm sorry for starting off that episode that way. That wasn't my intention, but when an opportunity presents itself, you have to take it. But back to wrestling. What was that? Can you hear me all right?
Say what?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So as far as wrestling goes, so you're in a unique position where your dad's also a wrestler. Um, so I imagine your like origin story might be a little different. But what was your like first like introduction to wrestling?
So the very first time I watched wrestling was around Christmas. I was like 8 or 9. My uncle had actually just come back from being stationed overseas in the military. And I think it was like the day after Christmas. He had turned on SmackDown, or I want to say it was SmackDown. And Zack Ryder and Santina Morella were on, and I
Yeah.
don't know why, but from then on, I was like, yes, hooked. This.
Yes. Those are two very great character moments. Zack Ryder's I'm a
Zack,
big fan of him.
one of my favorites. Like,
Yeah.
I remember 2 months later for my birthday, he got me a Zack Ryder T-shirt. It was the purple
Yeah.
one. I still have that.
Yeah, I think those are worth money now. Oh.
I when I was a kid, the only thing my aunts and uncles would get me for birthdays, Christmas,
Yeah.
like were wrestling T-shirts. And so my grandma actually kept all of them and is making them into a quilt.
That's awesome.
And I had no idea she was doing that until this past Christmas. She was like, "Hey, so this was supposed to be done," and I dropped the ball, kid.
That's an awesome quilt though.
I'm super excited for her to finish it.
That's awesome. What are your thoughts on like just a sidebar, but Matt Cardona, like on his recent like once he's been released?
I love it. I think it's so entertaining. You can tell he's just having the time of his life and having
Yeah.
so much.
I love it for the story, but I also love it because of the gear. Like
Yes, the Bowser gear. Oh my god, that was one of my.
gear. Yeah, he did the Undertaker recently. Like he's just like he's a kid at heart, and he's just you could tell by what he's doing. But yeah, Matt Cardona's awesome. Zack Ryder's awesome. Um, was it like obviously probably, but the characters that drew you in, or was it like the in-ring action?
It was a good mix of both. When I was younger, it was definitely the characters and getting like invested in the storylines. But then as I got older, I got really into the physical stuff, like like the in-ring stuff. Was like, okay, that actually looks really cool. I bet I could do that kind of
Uh-huh.
thing.
So, like, who are some of the characters besides like Zack Ryder that you were really attracted to in those early years?
AJ Lee was my favorite. Like, she was the first one I was like watching wrestle. I was like, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
She, Paige, CM Punk, I loved Dolph Ziggler. Like, he was my favorite. John Cena. Very like. Who else was wrestling at that time? Oh, I loved Beth Phoenix.
Oh yeah, Beth Phoenix is awesome.
She was one of my favorites. I liked the Bellas when I was a kid. But I mean, who didn't like the Bellas as a kid?
Oh yeah, they're hard not to like. So you're I've had that with like my grandparents where like they only know one thing about like we're getting you something, it's gonna be wrestling or it's gonna be this or that.
Yeah.
Um, did you always kind of like know that like this is in the back of my mind, this is something I want to do, whether or not like it was actually like a reality for you in your mind?
Yeah, like probably within the first month of watching, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna try this at some point. I don't know when, but I'm gonna try it. And then as I got older, I was like, yo, I don't like anything else other than wrestling. I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life.
So what causes you to take the leap to actually jump into wrestling? Is that like a linear, like you kind of graduate high school, time people are going to school, I'm gonna be a wrestler, or did it come out later?
Before I graduated high school.
Okay.
Yeah, that was actually my Sweet 16 present that my parents paid for the deposit for wrestling school.
Okay.
And I started training when I think I had to wait till I was 17. I think I started like 2 weeks before my 17th birthday.
Uh-huh.
And once I started, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm cool. I'm not going to do anything else.
Yeah. What was it like the moment? Because I've always thought about this, like being a wrestling fan, like it's one of the things like stepping into a ring is something that's very tangible, especially like in smaller shows, but it's something that you don't get to do. So what was it like the first time that you like walked through the ropes?
Um, at first, it was definitely kind of intimidating, but I'm also just like a very nervous, anxious person. But after that first couple seconds went away, it was like the most surreal feeling of, hey, I actually get to do what my heroes do now.
Yeah, for sure.
It was really cool. What was
Uh, where did you start training initially?
Originally was at AML with George, but now all of my training is done with my dad, James Johnson, and Drew. It's usually just the three of us at training.
Uh,
Our buddy Bryce Saturn, who just moved to North Carolina, joins us. So that's
right.
really fun.
So you go from like watching like larger than life like guys on TV like Zack Ryder and John Cena and like the Bellas and AJ Lee, and then you step into the ring with George South. What is that like as far as the adjustment goes?
I love George. He's one of my favorite humans. I was definitely like, okay, wrestling is a lot harder than I thought it was. But George was a great teacher. I will like his teaching style and James's teaching style were very different. Like night and day different.
Yeah.
But
And,
yeah, stepping in the ring with George was a lot of fun. Like he's great, man. Like you can really tell he enjoys teaching and helping out.
Yeah, he's like wrestling to the bone. Like he's the most
Yeah.
wrestling person like that I've ever seen. Like we're in the process of getting him on the podcast, but it's like he's like we got to do it at a smaller show because like AML has too much pressure. He's like I gotta have time to go out there. I gotta sell my stuff. And, like he's like true to the bone, like
Oh yeah, for sure.
wrestling to the core. And we've heard nothing but like great stories about him. But I've also heard, and I've only one person's told us this, and we haven't been able to confirm it. But does he talk about Jessica Simpson?
I don't remember him talking about Jessica Simpson, but I also have a horrible memory, so
Yeah.
I'm one to ask.
Brittany Jade said it, and then nobody else has been able to confirm it. So I don't know if she was messing.
If she said it, it's probably true. I trust her with my life.
Okay, cool. And have you ever had a meeting with George at a Bojangles?
I've brought George Bojangles so many times, especially like during WrestleCade weekend.
That's funny. Like we had AJ Kazana on, and he was talking about having to run and get like chewing tobacco for Trevor Murdoch, and the equivalent of that for George South is Bojangles, which is it just kind of makes me happy. Like,
I've never met anyone who loves Bojangles more than George South.
Yeah, I think it might have been one of the Dawsons, but when they came out with the alcoholic version of Bojangles, they tagged him and they were like, George, if you see this in the stores, I want you to watch out because this is not regular sweet tea.
Proud that they came out with that.
Yeah, I've heard it's bad. I don't think sweet tea and alcohol should mix, but that's a different podcast for a different day. So when you first started wrestling, Did you feel like you had an idea of what you wanted to do with your character, or were you just so excited to be like in the ring that you were just kind of focused on
Oh yeah,
learning?
no idea what I was doing character wise. I was just really excited to start learning how to wrestle.
Uh,
I think that's still something I still have really no idea what I'm doing with. Um, I think that's probably the thing I've struggled the most with, trying to figure out what I'm doing
Mhm.
is character work and like just figuring out what I'm doing as a character.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for sure. I've thought of ideas because like at one point or another, I've thought about training. But the ideas always sound really good, and then I like think them out, and there's like this is the dumbest thing ever.
Like my dad, him and Drew have helped me out so much with like working on character stuff and
Yeah,
understanding that, because they're both like so good at characters and
yeah,
know exactly what they're doing. So like being able to like not only do the in-ring training with them, but having the psychology classes and just like when we're on the road to shows, we talk about it. It's I've been like able to learn so much from those guys. Like James has such a good mind for character work and psychology and all of
yeah,
that. Training with him has been one of my favorite things. Like I am not the best at learning things and picking things up, so he will sit there and have to explain something to me for like 45 minutes. There's a train. 1 second.
okay, it's no problem.
Oh yeah, it's like if he has to sit there and explain the same thing to me for like 45 minutes or an hour, he never gets annoyed. He just keeps trying to find new ways to explain it to where it clicks,
Yeah,
and I really appreciate that because like I'm so used to, especially in school, I always had teachers who would get frustrated with me for that,
yeah,
and he was like, he never ever gets frustrated. He's like, okay, so that way of learning doesn't work for you. So let's try this, and it's like I really appreciate that. Like
yeah,
I just posted something on Facebook about the other day about him being my favorite teacher. Like that is so true. Like training is my favorite part of the week because I know I'm going to learn something, and I love getting to learn from him. It's
I'm about to look really dumb right now.
oh no,
I know that you guys are daddy daughter dads.
yes,
Is he your dad?
he is. So I'm
Okay,
adopted.
okay.
Yeah, it's
Well,
I didn't get adopted till like probably like 5-6 years ago, something like that.
okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome that you found a family, especially one like so in love with wrestling as you are.
Oh,
So,
it's the best.
what
It's
is has he been in wrestling longer? Like how long has he been in wrestling? I guess is a good question.
I want to say right about 10 years.
Okay, so that's got to be cool for you to like not only like finding like your second like your family, but also like your new dad is a wrestler, somebody that could teach you something that you're so what is that like at first, and then like what is it like been like working with him and growing together?
I always say all the time, tagging with him has been the highlight of my life and career. Like I'm having more fun tagging than I've had doing anything else.
Yeah,
I wish we got the opportunity to tag more. I absolutely love it because I feel like I learn something new every time we get to tag, and I pick up
yeah,
on something. But like learning from him has been great because he's not only is he my dad, he's my best friend.
yeah,
So like just we literally will sit at the house and watch wrestling when we both get home from work and do psychology class in our living room, or like we're out to eat for dinner and we're talking about wrestling.
yeah.
We're just constantly learning and bouncing ideas off each other. It's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, like my podcast co-host Christian's like my best friend also, and we kind of bonded over wrestling. And I think wrestling is so unique because it's not as like widely popular. Like you're not gonna like go to school and like everybody in your class is a UNC fan, where that's not the case with wrestling.
No, I got bullied so much in school for being a wrestling fan.
Yeah,
So much.
but to find somebody to like talk, like for me it's almost like there's been so many years of like not being able to talk about it. So like when you do get to talk to wrestling about somebody, it's like a overflow. It's just like, oh my
Yeah,
god, what about like this year and that year? And it's just like all these crazy things that like you haven't been able to talk to anybody. So that's got to be pretty awesome.
shut up about it.
Yeah. Um,
Like I'm constantly like scrolling or like watching something on YouTube and sending him screen recordings of stuff I think is cool. It's like, hey, can we do this at training this week? Hey, how do you do this? How do they do that? I don't understand. Explain it.
yeah.
Yeah. I think there was one point I sent him like 30 clips in a day, and he was like, just stop sending these to me and we'll go over them.
Just make a slideshow.
like just put them in a separate little album in your
Yeah.
photos, whatever, and bring them to training.
Yeah. What are some of those clips look like? Are you looking for like certain things, or is it kind of all over the place?
Oh, it's definitely all over the place. It's just whatever I'm watching on YouTube at the time. Yeah, anything I think that just looks cool or I don't understand how they got there, did that, like
Yeah.
explain. My brain don't understand. Help. Like
uh,
that usually message that goes with is me no understand, please explain.
do you have an example of like something on top of your head that like that would apply to?
I I don't remember exactly what the move was, but I know I just sent him a bunch of Gail Kim stuff because I went down a rabbit hole.
Uh-huh.
And it was like all of this is he always his response every time is that's so easy. We'll have it done in 5 minutes when we get to training.
That's awesome. That's very
Because
confident.
I think it's super complicated. He's like, nah, that's easy. That's so easy. And I'm like, but that doesn't look easy. What do you
I think that's the mark of a good wrestler, though. Like a Canadian Destroyer, for instance, looks.
Oh, I was terrified of those at first, but
Yeah,
like are easy. I will say
yeah.
that.
Uh, Kind of a fun story involving a Canadian Destroyer. I think it was a gouge show last year. First time, like I will be say I was ignorant. This podcast has helped me learn a ton of people, and at that time, I wasn't aware who James Johnson was. And I think it was Tim versus Victor Andrews, and your dad out of nowhere just gives him a Canadian Destroyer on the
Oh,
grass.
I remember that show. We got
Yeah,
so. Uh,
it was a very hot show.
all I remember about that show is the Canadian, and then by the time we got home, we were all so sunburned. We looked like
Yeah,
lobsters. We didn't leave the house really the next day. We all just stayed in bed.
yeah.
It was the worst sunburn I've ever had.
Yeah, that was like for me that show. Like first of all, it was so hot. I can't imagine anybody's in the ring bouncing off those like black
Oh my!
ropes. It seems
I could.
awful. But like for me, that just like solidifies. For those who don't know, like it was a show in the back of a cigar shop, and there were chickens right next to the ring. It
There
was,
were chickens. They were so
it was,
cute.
but it just kind of shows like wrestling can be anything. It can be anywhere, and
Yeah.
like it's just kind of cool whether it's like next to chickens or it's like in Madison Square Garden. Wrestling is
Always bring people together. Like
yeah.
that's one of my favorite things about it is just like getting to meet people, getting to travel.
Awesome. Well, I think we took a very big tangent. So I'm not going to apologize for it because that's kind of what this podcast is about. But going back to your training, at what point, like into your training, do you have your first match?
Uh, I want to say I trained for about 2 years before my first match.
Okay.
I think.
Going into that match, like, this is another thing that always interests me is like entrance music. Like, I spend a majority of my time listening to music thinking, oh, this would be really cool to go to the
So
ring.
lasted for 2 matches, and it was a suggestion from one of my friends because I was super panicked and nervous about it, and I waited till literally morning of, and I was like, I don't know what to do for music, and she was like, she's not a wrestling fan at all. God
Yeah.
bless. And she was like, "Come Out to God as a Woman" by Ariana Grande, and I was like, okay. And that's what we did.
What is the reaction in a crowd like that? And what does George think? Does George care about that at all?
I don't remember. I don't think George was paying attention to the music because I don't remember him saying anything about it.
Yeah.
I also don't remember the crowd reaction because I remember I wrestled Maddie Max,
Okay.
and I remember her getting booed so much, and I came out right after her, so I was like, okay, this will be fine.
Oh, God is a woman. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Now we're actually using custom music that my dad had and gave me. It was his old stuff, and he was like, "This actually would like work great for you, kid." So here.
Awesome. Did you have any in between that, like any other like ones?
I bounced around a couple ideas. I came out to "Do You Want to Start a War" by Fozzy for a couple months, and then my dad again gave me another song that I used for the longest time, and I still to this day love that song. I came out to Blackstone Cherries. What is it? Shaking My Cage. I was about to forget the name of that song. I absolutely love that song. It is still on the playlist that I listen to when I go to the gym or driving.
Awesome. Yeah, always curious as to me because, like, as a wrestling fan and somebody that like through this has become like closer to wrestling and like we've worked shows and stuff like that. Like every song I hear, I'm like, I could come out to this. Like you gotta have like the build up and then you gotta have the beat drop. I'm like, yep, that's when I would walk to the curtain. Like every single time I listen to a song. That's pretty cool. Especially having your own kind of custom entrance, especially like handed down.
I
Um,
love it. It gets even more special to me that it was his first and now I get
yeah.
to use it. Like, he passes a lot of stuff down to me. Like, he has these old custom logo knee pads. He
Uh-huh.
gave me those, and like, I love getting to wear those. I'm like, it's just really special to me that we get to share all that stuff, and like, I get
Yeah.
to have it all passed down.
Awesome. So your first match, how did that go? Was it do you feel like it was a good match?
No, no, I did not know what I was doing. I was not ready for that.
Was was it like you get in the ring and you're just like, oh shit, I have to do this now, or like what's going through your mind during the match?
So I don't remember a lot of it. I guess I've had a lot of concussions, so I can't remember a lot anymore,
Yeah.
and that sucks. I remember being super nervous all day, and I don't remember who it was that someone gave me a piece of gum right before we went out to wrestle, and they're like, "This will help you breathe. This will help with your anxiety.
Yeah.
Just chewing gum helps."
Yeah.
5 seconds into this match, I am choking on the gum. So no, chewing gum does not help. I
No.
almost died.
Yeah. So I guess like I've heard the thing where like can you walk and chew gum, but I guess to wrestle and chew gum significantly harder.
I can barely walk and chew gum. No,
Okay. Yeah, I
it's not my strong suit.
no, not mine either. I one the other day I was getting out of my car, and this happens way more often than I'd like to admit, to like grab something out of like the shed, and I turned around and my car was not where I left it. It like ran onto the curb just because I forgot to put my car in park. So I'm right there with you. Like hopefully it haven't had anything too bad happen, but
I like to fall walking up the stairs, not
oh
like
yeah,
walking up the stairs. I'm really good at that.
it's the best way to do it because you could easily catch yourself.
And then I jam up my wrist, and it like it's not.
Yeah,
And I fall down the stairs too. I'm just constantly tripping and falling all over the house.
yeah.
It's honestly quite the comedy show.
It's kind of like this is this is a tangent city today, but I there was like a musician that had a stutter, so bad of a stutter that he couldn't talk. And but when he sang, it was like perfectly fine. And one day he was getting robbed. Somebody came in through the window, and the only way he could call for help is to sing it. So is that a thing where like once you get into the ring, it like takes over, and now you're like this?
Sometimes, because there are like, not so much when I'm wrestling, but I there's a lot of times where I will trip during my own entrance,
Uh,
especially getting in the ring. I wrestled Tyler Aiken at XWW. I love Tyler, but I almost like fell completely over the ropes back out to the floor making my entrance, and Drew was doing commentary for that.
uh-huh.
And that is one of my favorite clips. We sent that back and forth in our group chat, laughing at me so much after it happened.
Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with what we do with our clips, but we take videos of the things that we talk about. So if you have that clip, I would love to have that.
Yeah, I will look for it and send that to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Did you see a few years ago when God, what is his name? I'm forgetting his name. It was at like the Saudi Arabia Royal Rumble where he runs.
Titus O'Neil.
Yeah, and he just slides out
Yes,
of the
Titus
ring.
World Slide.
Yeah.
That's me. Oh
Yeah.
my god. No, we sent that in our group chat right after it happened, and everybody was like, "Oh, this is gonna be Selena. She's gonna do it."
Yeah.
And they're not wrong.
Yeah.
I
Almost
know what's gonna happen to me at some point. I just can't wait to see when, and I hope somebody makes a video and a meme out of it.
Yeah, yeah. That's like at that point, that's all you could do. I one time at work, I was like leaning too far back in a chair. Another one of my tragic falls, especially at my size, and the chair just collapsed. And we had a camera right there, so I um, put it to Sugar. We're going down by Fall Out Boy, and just sent it to everybody I know. I was like, I'm gonna get ahead of it.
That is one of my all-time favorite songs.
Yeah,
I
All
love
of
Fall Out
them,
Boy.
they're underrated. Like
No, I
most
have a
of them.
similar story at work. I used to work at a coffee shop,
Oh,
and
nice.
someone had spilled something on the floor, and I didn't know it. So I slid, went completely, fell on the floor, straight in the puddle, and I just got up. I looked at my manager and was like, "I'm going home to change, and I don't know if I'm coming back." And then I just left, and she was like, "Yeah, no, that's understandable. You've been
Yeah.
here 4:30. You opened the store. I don't care if you come back."
Yeah, that's good. That's good because imagine coming back would be tough. I've worked in restaurants. That's where I fell. So I
I've
know
worked
like
most of my life. I just got back into working retail.
it sucks.
Yeah, but it's the only place that's working with my school
Yeah,
schedule.
this is
So
tough. Yeah. Have you seen the show The Bear?
I have not.
That show, it's good, but it gave me anxiety because it's like
I
so
have.
realistic. Like there's a scene where like they forgot to turn off the DoorDash. And so all of a sudden, like there's like 80 tickets printing all at once. And like I legitimately had to like pause, step outside, like do the breathing exercises.
No, so I've actually had that happen. I when I was opening said coffee shop,
Yeah.
I got there. I was supposed to be there at 4:45 to open. I always got there at 4:30, so I'd have to because most of the time something else would have to be cleaned or something didn't get
Yeah.
done. So I like to get there early to make sure the store was set up, ready to go, and organized. And I walked in one morning. We had 25 DoorDash orders, all for like these super big, over $100 orders. And I was like, I'm the only one here till 6 o'clock. All of these pickups say 6:15. So I called the other manager and I was like, you need to get someone here because I can't. There is no way I'm doing this all by
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah. I've had that happen before too. Like I worked at a pizza place. So we would come in and there would be like $1,000 order for pizza. And I was like, not today. Like it's just but yeah, anxiety related for
I love
restaurants.
restaurants. So like I loved working in the coffee shop. I loved waiting tables. Like I had so much fun with that.
There's like a good camaraderie, like being able to
Yeah.
talk crap about the customers and then like kind of like going through something like that together is definitely fun. But
And then like having your regular customers who are always like super happy to
yeah,
see. Like I had one regular who would come through one of the restaurants I worked at, and every holiday he was leaving me $100 tip. Like it
oh
doesn't matter, 4th of July, Christmas, my birthday, he was giving me $100 tips. Like him and his wife were two
yeah,
of the people I ever met.
yeah, definitely good people like that out there. Um, I don't even know where we were. How do we get? Why are we?
I'm ADHD, okay? I
I am
get distracted
too. I'm
easily.
very yeah. So we're lost. We're talking about wrestling. Let's backtrack. Your first match. So at what point do you like? What is the first match that you feel like I belong here? Like I know what I'm doing.
Um, it was there's been like two matches that distinctly, well, three that gave me that moment. My first one I remember afterwards like being like, okay, things are starting to click. I get this. The very first time I remember feeling that was when I wrestled my dad for the first time.
Okay.
Um, I just remember like as soon as the bell rang, he picked me up and hugged me, and I started crying because I was like, everything we've been working on in training just clicked.
Yeah.
That is probably one of my favorite matches I've ever had. I still to this day love that match so much, and that's
Yeah.
the only time we've ever got to work singles. And I want to wrestle him again because I feel like it'd be a lot better now because that's probably been about 2 years ago now.
Yeah. Um, correct me if I'm wrong. Like when I've seen you wrestle, like when you hit people, it looks like you're laying it in. Are
Yeah,
you
he taught me how to do that.
okay? So like when you're wrestling your dad, is that something to where you're like, I'm gonna take it easy, or is it like I'm gonna hit you as hard as I can?
Oh no, he absolutely pushes me to hit people the hardest, like work as hard as I can, because he's gonna do the same thing with me.
Yeah. It's got to be more fun too. Like just
It's so much fun. I remember, like it was. I remember like wrestling the entire time. I was just like having fun with it the whole match.
yeah.
I
Right.
loved it. I had so much fun that day. It was like 110 degrees outside, but it had some of the most fun.
Yeah. Where was that show at?
It was at our friend's house. He was doing like some. It was like during COVID, and he was just taping stuff for his
Okay.
YouTube channel.
Oh, nice. How is COVID during wrestling? Because that's something I don't think people talk about. But wrestling got hit hard.
Yeah, so not only did I not get to wrestle during COVID, I also got laid off from work because I was waiting tables.
Yeah,
So I was just stuck at the house, not being able to do anything. But we did still find time and places to train, and I think that helped a lot. We found a couple shows here and there, like we did that show at my friend's house. So yeah,
yeah. Like I've like it's a consistent thing that like always comes up. It sucks. Like some people like Erica Demian, for instance. Like COVID hit right as she was like starting to train.
yep,
Uh,
I
uh
love her so
yeah,
much.
she's
Such a
great. Yeah. And then like we had James Ryan on recently, and he was like really hitting a stride. And then COVID hit. Like COVID is like,
he's such a good human being.
yeah, he really is. There's a lot of good people in North Carolina when it comes to wrestling. A
Yes,
lot of bad people, but there's also a lot of good people.
I feel like.
Um,
Plus, like I feel like North Carolina and South Carolina just have so much great talent. Like just
yeah,
to be like, yeah, like there's just so many good people here, and
yeah,
like they're good wrestlers. They're good people outside of the ring. It's just they're all just it's great.
yeah. It is a great time to be a fan of wrestling in North Carolina. Um, and skip ahead to your story, I guess. I don't know if we're skipping ahead, skipping around. So your first match with your dad. Um, at what point do you guys start teaming together?
We started teaming together. I'm really bad with dates. I know it's been at least 2 years ago. I think we just hit 2 years tagging.
So what was the original idea for that? Is Daddy Daughter Dance, which is an awesome tag team, is that always the name? How did that come about?
Um, so the name actually, we had a big group chat with a bunch of our friends, and we sent a list of names in there because we were getting everybody's opinions on it.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that one on the list, and all I sent back was Daddy Daughter Dance. That's the one. And I think it came up in the group chat, and we went with it. I don't know, remember where he got that from or where he got the idea for it from. But I remember a couple months later, I saw in one of our old messages something about this father daughter duo would be sick as a tag team. And then we had just started tagging when I saw that again. I was like, so I sent him the screenshot. I was like, we've been planning this all along and didn't know it. It was meant to be.
Yeah. That's like one of the coolest names. Like there's a lot of cool names out there, but it just like it's like that moment where like reality fits into wrestling perfectly and
Yeah.
creates this like perfect thing. I'm trying to think of another. I can't really like think of like another, but yeah, that's pretty awesome. Um, so what is it like? Are there? It seems like it's really great most of the time, but are there any times where it's just like, like when you're working with your dad, like
Like, I don't ever remember ever getting like frustrated or anything like that when
yeah,
I work. It's always just so easy. He makes it so fun. Like,
yeah,
I think a lot of it is because we're best friends too. So we know each other so well. We know like he we both have ideas at the same times for like what we both look at each other and be like, hey, what if we do this? And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. So like I don't it's always just been super easy and fun.
yeah. Um, and you guys being in a tag team, that was a dumb question, by the way. Sometimes I just say dumb questions. Like I asked somebody what their least favorite match they ever uh like called last week. Like nobody's gonna tell me that. So
Um,
sometimes I
he
just ask
tells me all the time there is no such thing as dumb questions, that we don't say that here. So
yeah, no, but like this is a podcast. There are dumb questions, and I admit that that was one of them. Um, working with your dad in matches puts you in like kind of a unique position, especially like as a women's wrestler, to where you're having a lot more like intergender or mixed gender matches. What is that like? Because I know for like some people, like this old country mentality, like where it's like almost weird to them, but like it's the future. I think it's really cool that you guys are working on that.
no, so for me, it's like I get people coming up to me all the time and saying, we don't see a whole lot of intergender tag teams. That's so cool. I personally love intergender wrestling. It's
Yeah,
probably my favorite thing to do besides tagging. Like,
yeah,
it's just like, I don't, like, it's great, man. Like, the women around here are great. The men are great. And getting to be able to, like, work with both of them is
yeah.
so special to me. I really am thankful I get to do that.
You have any favorite intergender tag teams?
Um, if you give me a second to think, Brittany and Proc have been doing some stuff, or Elijah Proctor.
Yeah, yeah,
I really want us to wrestle them. just because we're all such good friends outside of the ring. I know we would like it would be stupid fun. Same thing with Ella and BK. I've saw them doing some tag stuff. We have been trying to wrestle Sadie Lee Moss and TGA Alexander
Yeah.
since we started tagging, and it has not happened. And it's the one tag match I keep begging for. Well, it's one of these tag matches I keep begging for. There is another one that he keeps telling me no to, but it's gonna happen. I swear.
What is that match, if you don't mind?
I really want us to wrestle the Workhorsemen, JD Drake and Anthony Henry. I have been asking for that since the day we started tagging, and I will. I'm not letting him retire until we get this tag match.
That'd be an awesome match. That'd be a painful match.
Yeah, but I want it so bad. That's what he said. He's like, bro, it's gonna hurt. And I was like, I don't care. I want to do it.
Yeah, like we've had a lot of people that have wrestled them on, and like Robert Martyr we had on said that JD Drake's chops were harder than Minoru Suzuki's.
Oh no.
Yeah, like that's scary.
Not afraid of chops.
Yeah.
I wrestled Rayhan Anteas not long ago, and
good chops.
Everyone beforehand was like, his chops are the worst. They're gonna hurt so bad. And I was like, after the match, I was like, all right, that was fun. Let's do it again. Like, it was like, I don't know why all of you are complaining. I love Rayhan though. He has been like he has definitely like been there, looked out for me since he met me when I first started training. Yeah. Like we have been friends for years. He has always looked out for me.
He's another one of those guys like we were talking about earlier where you could just kind of talk about wrestling.
Yeah.
Like
he's great, man.
We talked to him about like 2005 SmackDown for most of his episode. It was great.
That's I can see him talking about that.
Yeah, we talked about like because that's like when I started watching, and I think he was kind of similar along those lines. So like it's always nice to like have that bond. But yeah, definitely Rayhan is awesome. I had a question and I forgot it. Oh, I was gonna admit another thing. This is I feel very dumb for, but up until last week, I thought that Sadie Lee Moss was Alexander Moss's mom.
No,
yeah,
she's a professional wrestling, and Alex.
I knew that she was a wrestler, but I thought that like she was his mom, and I was like, that's so cool that he's following his mom's footsteps and being a wrestler, and I feel really dumb that I didn't see it, and now that like I know it's very obvious, but yeah, I was like, I heard somebody say it, I was like, that's weird, that's his mom. They're like, why would you call her his wife? And then I like went and I told somebody, and they're like, you're an idiot. Like, so
I wasn't gonna say that.
Yeah. Yeah, like I have my faults. I can't know everything.
I know for a fact I am an idiot.
Yeah.
It's one of my defining character traits.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
Yeah. I have like a bad memory, but I have a great memory for times when I'm an idiot.
I can remember a lot of stupid things I've done. I get that.
But
if you ask me to remember any kind of date or anything important, it's gone in 5 seconds. It's not there.
Yeah, I remember the time that I accidentally waved at a guy that wasn't waving at me. Like, I remember dumb things I say, like, all the time. Like, there's no way nobody else remembers this but me. And I'm sitting over here, like, losing sleep over it 5 years later.
Oh, no. So, like, I had to call my lawyer's office last week for a car accident I was in. And without even thinking about it, when I went to hang up with the lady, who's great, by the way, I was like, love you, bye. Because I used to, only people I ever call on the phone are my parents or my sister or my grandparents. And nobody else. So, like, I don't, so there's, that was my idiot moment. I was like,
I bet that made her day though.
I hope she didn't hear that.
She was like, I did such a good job.
I was so proud. You didn't stutter. You didn't mess up any of your questions. You sounded like an adult. I'm so proud of you. And then I said, love you, bye. And I was like, you had it. You almost had it. You were this close, kid.
I like to imagine that like she's like, I know I'm a good lawyer in the courtroom, but now I know that I'm a good lawyer outside the courtroom. This lady loves me. Like
I've never even met her in person. So
she's like, I'm really good. Like that's awesome.
I just remember like hanging up that phone and just sitting there like, did you really just say that?
I have one that I hopefully will make you feel better. So when I was in college, I did the athletics like video for like the sports teams, and I was doing a baseball game, and I was like right by the home dugout, and I was videotaping it. And after the game, the coach walks up and he says, "Hey, good game out there." And I'm like, "Thanks, coach." Never talked to him before, never had any interaction. And then I turned behind me, and there's the starting pitcher that just won the game that he was talking to, like a professional college coach. And he was like, "You did a good job too." And I think that was 2015. That was 7 years ago. I think about it at least once a month.
But I'm sure you did an amazing job and you deserved that
I
compliment.
didn't though. I wasn't very good.
No, I'm sure you're better than you thought.
I hope so. But yeah, this episode's getting off the rails. But those are the fun episodes. I think we were talking about you and your dad wrestling.
Yes.
You mentioned that you wanted to face the Workhorsemen. Who are some other tag teams that you'd love to face?
I definitely mentioned him before us working Ethan, Case, and Chip Day.
Yep.
Best of the rest. I will always take another opportunity to wrestle anybody in the King's Gate, like any combo of people they want to send us. I think we've wrestled all of them at this point, but I love working those guys. They're all so talented.
If you had to rank them in order of talent.
Oh man, I can't do that. They're all great.
Okay, we'll talk off the air. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That was an impossible question. Yeah, the King's Gate.
King's Gate's great. We've worked on Worm No Souls so much. Like we did one of my favorite matches, which was a street fight or like no disqualification match. I absolutely loved that match. I love any street fight, no DQ match I get to do. I want to do more of those. Just give me weapons, honestly.
What's your favorite
love
weapon?
that. I have a trash can. His name is Ralph, and I like to throw him at people and yell "Wreck It, Ralph."
That's awesome.
I did that with Ella Envy when we had our no DQ match at Jewels of Wrestling.
Yeah.
That is again another one of my matches. I was like afterwards, I was like, "Yo, we killed that." I'm really proud of this one.
Awesome. Yeah, trash cans, like, it seems like they're made out of aluminum foil and they don't hurt. I imagine they do hurt.
Yeah, I did another no DQ match with Sawyer Wreck, and she curb stomped that trash can twice. It was not great.
Scary?
Yes and no. Sawyer is like one of my closest friends.
Oh, cool.
So, but she's also very tall, and when you're wrestling her, you're like, oh wow, she's gonna kill me.
Yeah,
but then she gives Starbucks afterwards, and it's great. She's like, you want to get Starbies, baby? Yes, I do. And we go get Starbies.
That's awesome. Yeah, she's terrifying.
I absolutely adore her. Awesome. I can't wait for her to come back. The last time I saw her wasn't even wrestling related. She was just in the area and hit us up. I was like, hey, do you guys want to come gym mine? Like, come hunt for crystals and gym mine with me? And we were like, yes. So we spent the entire day out in this like creek river thing, just looking for crystals. We brought home like a bucket like this big, full of pretty shiny rocks.
Yeah.
And I want to go do that again so bad.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds fun. Sounds a lot more fun than wrestling her. So
both are fun. Both are equally fun. I will say that. But we did get really good French fries afterwards.
From where?
It was some little local place in downtown Statesville.
Okay.
It was the only thing I remember about it is it was the only place in the area that would let us bring her dog in. So like shout out to them for being real ones.
Yeah, we'll have to look them up. This is a question anytime I get to ask it. You guys are on the road a lot. Where is like somewhere that like you're after a show that like you could like where's your go-to?
So it definitely depends on where we're at because my dad and I have this like road trip tradition. If we're going somewhere new we've never been before, must stop after a show is a brand new pizza place.
Okay.
We try like pizza's one of our favorite foods, so we try and find pizza like somewhere where we're at, and we keep rankings of which pizza has been the best.
Oh, nice. You should like put that behind a paywall. It's like
I keep trying to get him to take us back to Florida just so we can get this one pizza again, or Pennsylvania because they were the top two.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go back. I don't care if we're booked. Let's just make a day trip to go get pizza. And he's like, we're not driving all the way just for pizza.
Yeah.
Like we should though, because it was really good.
There's a place, if you ever work like in the Raleigh area, it's called DeForna, and they have a machine that's supposed to replicate the water of New York. because that's what they say about New York pizza is that the water is what makes it so good.
I've been begging to go to New York just so we can try the pizza. Like,
Yeah,
it's also like one of the places on my bucket list that I want to visit, but
yeah,
I specifically want to go just for the bagels and pizza,
yeah.
and
Bagels are
I've
good.
not go there yet. It makes me so sad.
Yeah. Well, if until then, if you're in Cary, I recommend DeFortis. DeFortis,
Oh,
it's in downtown
Drew
Cary.
lives close to there, so I'm sure we'll be in the area. I'm gonna
Yeah,
make him go with us.
check it out. It's a little pricey, but it's good. We went there like so I got married in downtown Cary, and we all like kind of took the party with us. So we all like afterwards, like trying not to die, walked all the way down the street and had their food there. And if it's even better drunk, I can tell you that. But
I don't drink anymore, but I'll take your word for it.
okay, yeah. Well, it's also very good sober. I've had them both, and they're both very good. Um, but yeah, I would like to ask that. As you can see, I'm a big fan of Wawa. Anytime I'm near a Wawa, I'm stopping at a Wawa. Jack in the
When we
Box.
pass the Bucky's, whoever I'm in the car with, it's usually my dad and Drew Hood.
Yeah,
Pull in. I love Bucky's so much. But we don't get to go to a lot of Bucky's, so we're big Sheets people. We go to Sheets
yeah.
usually before and after shows because they have a lot of like healthy stuff for Drew, like have protein
Oh
cookies
yeah,
and
you got it. And it's
stuff
got the
like
perfect
that.
place for him to take his pictures.
Yeah,
So
like Drew loves a good Sheets lighting.
yeah, we had him on and we talked about that, and we posted a video of it. And Sheets actually commented on the video.
He sent me the screenshots of that.
Yeah, so
Those in our group chat.
yeah, so Sheets, big fan of Sheets as well. Um, I guess the last question I typically ask is as far as like people in this area or not in this area, but who are some wrestlers that you think the more people should know about?
I definitely think James Johnson and Drew Hood. Um, who else? Eric Academia, Florida Man, D'Angelo, Raylan Albee, the Funk, Sanson, just like all the kids coming out of the Palmetto Wrestling Academy are
Yeah,
fantastic. I absolutely love when we get to go down there and train and hang out with those guys. Ethan is doing amazing work with those kids.
sure.
Brittany Jade, Ella Envy, Elijah Proctor, the Kingsgate, all of those guys are super, super talented. Like they're all killing it, and
Yeah,
I like Rayhan's great. Yaya doesn't get to wrestle a lot around here anymore, but
yeah,
he's great. Lucky Ali. Then there's just so much talent coming out of the Carolinas right now.
for sure.
The Moody's that coming out of the Palmetto Wrestling Academy. Like,
Yeah,
there's just good talents coming up. Lilith Grimm isn't in this area, but she's phenomenal. I'm actually wearing her t-shirt right now.
oh, nice.
She is one of our closest friends. I text her in our group chat almost, like we're talking in there almost daily. Sawyer Wreck is phenomenal. Like, there's just so much talent around here, and
Yeah,
I'm sure I'm forgetting people.
of course. Yeah, there's
The,
always
the TGA, Sadie,
yeah.
Amira,
Husband and wife.
Fire Star has been
Yeah, of
killing.
course.
Nadia, no love.
Yeah.
Love her. There's just there's so many people around here.
Yeah. And I'm going to end on this question because I feel like you might be the person that's been most qualified to answer this question that we've had on. It's a question we ask anytime we're given the chance to. But does Drew Hood season his food?
The only time Drew Hood has eaten like had seasoned chicken to eat is when he came to our house and I cooked it
Okay.
for
That's what
family.
I thought.
And then he got very mad during Uno because he was losing. But
Yeah. Drew Hood, sore loser, doesn't like to drive fast, and doesn't season his food.
and he's not very good at Uno.
Not very good at Uno.
But my dad is undefeated, so there's that.
Is there skill to Uno?
I don't know, but he always wins. And Monopoly. He has never lost a game of Monopoly in his entire life.
Wow. Which way
I have
needs to
like
get studied?
the Baby Yoda theme version of it because obviously.
Why not? Yeah.
And I was like, I bought that because like Baby Yoda, he's my good luck charm.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. I have never won a game of Monopoly.
That's awesome. Well, this has been so fun.
Oh, I've had the best time.
Yeah. I like I said, I'd love to have your dad on. I'd love to have you both on at some point too.
I will go tell him all of that right now.
Yeah. But yeah, this has been so fun. Check out Selena Rose if she's on a card near you. Definitely a great wrestler. Beats the crap out of anybody she's in the ring with, which is
Yeah, I kick the crap out of them too, man.
Yeah. So check her out. Thank you so much for taking the time with us, and hope
Thank
you have a
you for
great night. No problem. Thank you.